I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, folks. I hope everyone's enjoying this nice spring weather we're having. Any adjustments to the agenda?
Yes, sir. Two.
Yep.
Suggestions. One is a Philbrook matter. And would go under new business, I guess, 10.2.
10.2, yeah.
And 10.3 could be an appointment to the planning board.
And we have one discussing the funding requests that you will review for budget committee, with budget committee. Just some procedures, how you want to handle new
That'd be
funding.
10.4.
Mhm.
Okay, any others?
So I'd make that motion.
Get a motion for those?
Second.
changes?
Yes.
All in favor? Okay. Public hearing, we have none. Presentations? None. Citizen comments? Comments from citizens?
Okay, you know, it's about the talent show. We've been around this. I want to say that tickets are on sale. They're not for sale, it's free, but of course, contributions are welcome. And I hope everybody will tell everybody. We want to fill it. And of course, support our fire department and our EMS and every Waldeborian who is performing. And the other thing is we want to bring all of Waldeboro together under one roof. I've heard the quintet, the First Baptist Men's Quintet, they are amazing. And I've heard Hannah Basham, she is amazing. The tap dancers studied with Savion Glover and Gregory Hines, so they're going to be good.
Pretty good.
And and we're going to have a funky fashion show with women of all sizes and ages being styled by Alexa Stark, and of course our own Bill Butler, Bob Butler.
Bill's good. I was
The
my
Bills,
brother.
I know. And I hope anybody else who will join him on stage to lead the audience. That's how we will kick off with the Pledge of Allegiance. And we will either borrow this one or get the Lions Club one from Alexa at the Waldeboro Inn. But please tell everybody to buy tickets. If we show them that we can fill it and be there for everybody, they might consider doing more things like this that are more of the people in a sense. And then I'll talk to somebody about how to get it up on the website. I have a JPEG or whatever.
That would, just send it to me.
Okay, I will.
And
I just-
Easy.
my
Yeah,
other
any
question is,
questions?
will it be live streamed, I'm hoping?
They are going to, not live stream. I don't know how that works. It would be too bad. But they are gonna videotape it.
Good.
So that should be findable, and maybe we could also get it up on the town website as a place
And you can
to,
put it on Facebook or YouTube Live.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And I just want to say the Waldorf's done a great job on their website doing the write-up about this event. I mean, it's really, really
Thank you,
good.
Bob.
No,
I wrote that press
I
release.
thought you might have. I didn't want to.
Lake County TV
forward
talked
about
about
it,
it
but-
last week on their show,
It's a good
Yeah.
one.
You're kidding.
because Lake County News had it in the paper and they.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Anyway, thank you for your support of this. You get a shout out in the program. in town this.
Any other citizen comments? None? Select board comments?
I'm good.
Evan?
I got nothing.
Think?
I would just say thank you to you for putting together our meeting that took place last night. I think it's a good first step to get some coordination and understanding of how the school board does their budgeting process.
Ditto. Nothing else.
Yeah, I third that. I think that's a good comment. And I just want to say I've researched some communications from the folks on Jefferson Street, and they're very, very grateful for the speed signs that are on there. And I guess there's some lingering questions about whether or not some of those signs that the highway department promised DOT. There were some pedestrian signs or something that were discussed. Is there any, and are they gonna go on Jefferson or are they intended for somewhere else? Sorry, I didn't mean to.
So, hold on. So Daryl, the latest I have from Daryl, who is the main DOT, hold on,
Talking about the crosswalk sign.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
hold on. Daryl said the existing 25-mile-per-hour signs on either end of Jefferson Street are somewhat obstructed with brush and tree limbs. He's there, the MDOT is going to remove the brush and install oversized speed limit signs, including the sign on the speed feedback post.
Cool.
The pedestrian signs that we can put in the crosswalk, which I think I included in my manager's report.
Mhm.
Yeah, you did.
Pictures. Did I did.
You
put a
did,
picture.
you did, Julie.
I was gonna try to bring that up because that way I could show them. We're waiting for them. Those were signs that we requested from the state. And hopefully, Maine Local Road Center. So when they come in, we will be putting them, and that's what they look like, just to show you. They'll go in the crosswalk.
Oh, yeah.
That'll probably give a visual of somebody to slow down. So as soon as we get them from the local road center, they can just set them up right in the crosswalk.
Thank you.
I think we're getting 2 of them. So one will probably be downtown and one will be in that. I always say it's like kind of by Jan Minzy's house right there in that crosswalk. That's where we're at.
One thing I have to say is, just like you folks had mentioned last night, we invited the RSU 40 school board members to attend and come meet with us. They graciously did. We had a few of the members. We had 7, 8, 9, 10 folks from the RSU here, including some staff. Kind of the first step. There's a whole lot of times that you see select boards and school boards getting together and talking collectively and kind of open up that communication, because we all know we are all one community and we're all working towards the same goal. And hopefully, we'll have some more of those meetings. It was a little educational for some of us. I mean, myself, I knew that the RSU and the school districts were mandated by the state to do certain things. And a lot of time it's unfunded mandate. In other words, you do this and figure out how you're gonna pay for it. It was interesting where they say they'll set a budget, a school budget, and these mandates will come out after they've set the school budget, and they have to be completed during that year. So they can't budget for it, but they have to spend the money. They have to use the money. So it's interesting. That's why I was talking, maybe we can talk to some legislators that we might know to help change that cycle a little bit so they can actually plan for these mandates. So town managers.
I'll add to that. One of the things that I found very interesting and that Steve Nolan brought up was that every 3 years, the town gets to vote on whether or not to continue with the public meeting, which is where you can vote and add funding on, which is what happened this year. So I think when that question comes up again on the ballot, we have to be really good at communicating what a yes and no mean to that, because as we found out after this last budget hearing that they had, public hearing they had
For the school budget.
for the school budget, $1 million was added at that public meeting for the school budget after that mailing had went out to all the taxpayers. So that would put do away with that meeting and then put the amount, even though apparently the amount can't go on our ballot for several reasons. But it would still eliminate that public meeting, and then the amount would be what the amount is on the warrant. Park names, we have narrowed the park names down to, drum roll please, Madomic River Community Park, Waldeboro Community Park, East Bank Park, and Governor's Park are the finalists.
And for people that don't know what we're talking about is the Sylvania property, plan for a park.
Right,
And
so-
this was the elementary school?
no, this was
Oh,
the,
this was
between the
among us.
Historical Society recommended names, and then you whittled them down. Those are the 4 names that got the most votes. And I'm just waiting for, hopefully, because we're running out of time, for the one teacher to get back to me and figure out when we're going to do this. It might be after the election. I was hoping it was going to be before. But those are the names that it has been whittled down to.
Can you read them out?
Sure. It's Madomic River Community Park, Waldeboro Community Park, East Bank Park,
East Bank?
East Bank, and Governor's Park.
Where is it?
The Sylvania site.
It would be the park at the Sylvania.
That's right.
Bob Butler and I went yesterday and met with Carrie Kipler from Lincoln County. She's the county administrator, and Tim, their recycling guru. I think we had a great meeting. It cleared up a lot of questions. I think that the recycling, the transfer station committee has had about recycling. So that we found that to be very useful. And we will be circulating what we talked about during that meeting. But there is an opportunity to, perhaps at some point increase what we recycle. So that was exciting. I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but we have a new page on our website, which is from that it was designed by our Economic Development Committee, doing business in Waldeboro. And one of the big fun things is that you only have until October 31st to get your absentee ballot. So if you would like to vote by absentee ballot, you must request it by October 31st. Pam, how many absentee ballots have you issued?
1,100-ish.
Wow.
That is so cool.
Ish. I don't have a concrete.
Ish.
So it
So,
was a slow day on the 5th then.
Yeah.
Just got counting early.
and just so you're aware too, that on the 5th, there will be a table, we will be tabling for the Sylvania Park, yet to be named. But it will include the survey that is available, and hopefully we'll be able to reach a lot of people as they fly by. And a little change this year too. As everybody knows, the Women's Club normally has lots of goodies as you exit. Because of requirements, they're going to have to be in this room this year. So before you go and vote, you're gonna have to get your goodies, or you're gonna have to come back in here to get your goodies. It's just how things have to be set up, and a lot of the state requirements, given the nature of the election. That's where they're going to be set up to sell their food. So please don't forget them. Please come and see them. It's supporting a great organization.
The library.
And the library will be coming after that.
What about those 1,100 people that voted already?
Well, I'm sure we had close to what? The last time in 2020,
1,800.
1,800, and we still had plenty of people coming in, so it should be a lot of fun. And that's all I have, sir.
Consent calendar. A motion to approve the consent calendar,
Second.
all in favor? Very well. New business 10.1. The LCPRC housing grants, and Max will explain the LPCRC, what it means.
The Lincoln County Regional Planning Commission.
There you go.
Should be LC,
LC.
RPC.
So Lincoln County, as part of their ARPA funding, put out a request to municipalities asking if anyone had any housing related projects that might be used to help with getting emergency services, some housing in the area, since work staff shortages, housing, they're starting to go a bit hand in hand. So when asked if Waldeboro had any projects, Julie had one project right off the top of her head, and that's the first project request. It's a $15,000 for a housing study. Julie, do you want me to even attempt to do it, or do you want to just start explaining what the housing study would be?
Well, as you know, we constantly hear about housing. And I keep asking the question, what do we have? And there was a broad study done.
Yep.
And it was based on numbers and
Estimates.
estimates. But I really would like to know what we have in Waldeboro. What our stock is, who inhabits the housing, what do we actually have? Because I don't think we can really begin to address the problem unless we actually know what we're dealing with. So this was an excellent opportunity for us to hire a professional to actually look at just Waldeboro, not Lincoln County, not, the Mid-Coast area, but actually in Lincoln County. So it will,
Just
I mean, actually in Waldeboro, yes. So that was the first thing. And I just think it's going to be the first stepping stone that we can use to really figure out how to address housing and what we need to focus on. Because a lot of times when it comes to housing, it's about creating new housing. And I can tell you from sitting where I sit, it needs to be also focused, or maybe even the main focus, on keeping people in the houses they already have. Because it's important. We have the most applications we've ever had for tax club. We went from about 40 applications, and we already have typically, and we have those 40 that are already in the tax club program, which breaks out your tax payments over 8 or 9 months. And we already have 100 new applications, and people haven't even, the majority of people haven't even begun to come in. We'll see our most folks on Tuesday, on the election day. And I imagine we will see increase in applications. So I always like to say it's great to create housing, but I think we're forgetting about keeping the people in their housing that they already have. So I'm excited about the study. I want to see what it has to say.
And the housing also, and the study is also going to be looking at some wage comparisons for who are using the units right now, so that just comparing it to what the average police officer or EMS worker is getting in Waldeboro, what's that gap between what we're paying them and who can actually afford a unit in town?
Do we set the parameters of that
Yes.
study?
Yes,
Okay, so we can define the categories we want them to look at.
Yes.
That's the idea.
as long as we're still focusing on affordable housing and tying somehow into emergency
Right.
services,
No,
yes, that is true.
Yeah, no, great. So we could look at terms of homes that are rented for vacation
Yes,
Yep.
and
Yes.
that
Yep.
kind of stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is there any of our neighboring communities that have done anything like this?
No, so
Just
Lincoln,
focused on the town? I
No.
know Lincoln County did one
yeah, Lincoln County,
year ago, so.
about a year or so, Lincoln
Yeah.
County did the Camoin study, which I still do like, actually. It helped get a nice base for at least Lincoln County as a whole, the expectation for how much housing might be needed in the future. But the other towns, I don't believe there's another town that's done a study like what we're doing specifically. I don't even know if there's been one like this in the Mid-Coast who just do what we're talking about. There probably is one, but I don't recall.
Who does this? You said it's an outside organization. Is it
Yes,
real?
I think it, I'm trying to remember.
You have to
Who
give
was,
the name.
yeah, I know. I've reached out to a few. They were recommended through Maine Housing Authority, as well as Genesis Fund, who's working with Maine Housing, but there's a few consultant groups who specifically have done projects like this in Maine.
Do we issue an RFP for that?
We'll issue an RFP.
Okay, thank you.
So that's the first grant project. The second one is expanding on the water expansion study that I've been trying to do for town for a while on how to get it onto Route 1. I guess this is also an update for where that study is at. One of the problems we've kind of had is it's a pressure issue. Like we have the water tower that goes along Friendship Road, right behind the food pantry. It's not high enough so that there's a sufficient pressure to go up the hill.
Yep.
And especially with the booster station being placed at Coles Hills Apartments, if something happens at that apartment complex, we've pretty much lost water, I think, in that downtown. So part of what we have to do is find a location for a water tower. And so this additional funding, I think $50,000 is going towards a spot I believe we have to do wetland testing, ledge testing, so that hopefully by April, when congressional directed spending requests are out, we can apply for construction of a potential water tower in town.
Well,
Should one of the options they look at be to simply increase the height of the water tower we have and the volume?
I'd have to get the exact numbers, but I think like we're talking about the highest points in town. That's
Right.
about 300 feet up in the air. Whereas the water tower, I think there's a 60-foot 60, maybe more difference. I'd have to look at those numbers, but there's a pretty big difference. And Mike, you might have to confirm it, but the water tower we have at behind the food pantry, that's on the ground and everything. That's not a traditional.
It's not an elevated tank.
Yeah.
It's a ground level tank.
So
I'm
we
just
could
asking if that should be an option instead of,
brand new.
Well, tanks like that are designed for a certain pressure,
right? No,
certain
no,
static head. And just raising the walls would probably overstress the concrete walls that are existing. Now you could probably demolish it and put a new water
That's what
tower
I'm
in
talking
that
about.
place, a
Yeah.
conventional bulbous type water
Yeah.
tower. But I don't know what would do for water in the interim while that was being constructed.
Right. And the new water tower was recommended by Wright Pierce, who's been doing the water, or by Daniel Flagg in Wright Pierce, who's been doing the water projects in town for quite some time anyway.
Okay.
they've already recommended sites.
No, but there is a potential site that I have in mind, and I just need to wait for the water tests and study done by Wright Pierce before I talk about it. And if that's done, and the housing study, so the whole grants that I'm talking about, it's sort of a three-pronged approach. Julie's study would be a nice foundation, seeing what we do need. If the water extension happens, we're able to get more high density housing and hopefully some more work on Route 1. And then there's my third project, which I'm expecting a lot more questions on. It is an accessory dwelling unit incentive program. The Economic Development Committee has talked about this for a bit, about maybe doing a pilot program where if there's a resident in town who may have an extra unit that they're willing to offer as a place to stay, and we have an emergency service staff member, a brand new one who's coming to town but having a difficult time trying to find a spot. This would be an incentive to tell the homeowner, if you are willing to give an affordable rate to this staff member for just a 12-month period, you will get this incentive and that amount has not been determined yet, because I'll admit I haven't had a chance to really work out all of the details on this. And then once that 12-month period is out, the hope is that that staff member has now saved up enough from that affordable housing rate to be able to go out and get their own, or find a more permanent location in that 12-month period. Or if the person enjoys that tenant and enjoys getting that extra income, maybe they'll let them stay there as a rented tenant. But after that 12-month period, there is no obligation to keep that affordable rate. They may certainly raise the rate, and that'd be fine. It's a pilot program. I feel that having a 1 or 2 person experiment in this, if it's successful, it means we don't have to focus too much on building 30, 40 units. It could be having a fraction of that going towards this, and the money goes directly to Waldoboro residents who do have some spare places to go. Whether it's a place where someone's maybe not be there for this whole year. Maybe it's one of those, what do they call it? Ghost zombie houses or something, where the person bought the house, but they're not going to move there for like 6 or 7. There was an article written about it. But it's a pilot that, if it's successful, it could be a very good short-term solution rather than waiting until the next big multi-unit housing project has to happen, or another 10-lot subdivision takes up a farmland. boy can dream. What can I say? Any questions about that before I get to why I'm here tonight?
Why are you here tonight, Max?
Lincoln County does like all three ideas. They would like to fund all three ideas in full. And so tonight I just need the select board to give a letter of support, a motion saying, yep, all sounds good. Max, you're the best ever. You should get a raise. That trip to Hawaii you keep talking about.
Too bad you're not our employee.
I can't say so moved either. That's monologue.
But just a simple letter of support saying, yep, we support all three projects. Please give us the money.
I'll make that motion.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
I just want to say, Max and I sat in that meeting with Carrie and the Lincoln County Planning folks, and it is such a joy. Sit in a meeting with Max and just Carrie thinks the world of Max. And it's very nice when everywhere I go, Max is always a topic, it seems, and everybody loves Max, and he brings so much to the table and has done so much for the town of Waldeboro. And it was really great because I think that the meeting was only going to be like 20 minutes, ended up being an hour.
It was-
Probably my fault.
It was about 20 or so minutes, but then you and Carrie were talking about how it was great to have the
We
young
actually-
people
we
in
were
there.
talking about millennials. It was
Yeah.
funny because we just went to a
Bible.
we just went to a conference and a lot of people were talking about how terrible millennials are. And Carrie and I were talking about how we have been so lucky. We have amazing millennials. And I brought up the fact that we have Max and Chief Booker and Chief Lash and a lot of our firefighters and EMTs and our staff now, even in public works,
Yeah.
are millennials, and just how wonderful millennials really are. And I can say that as a mother of three very useful millennials, but it was great to hear. It was just a great representation in that meeting of what the future of Maine is.
And
It was pretty great.
now that the bit's done.
Sorry.
And I'll just say that at that meeting, it was great to have Emily Raby, who's the executive director over at Lincoln County Regional Planning, and Laura Graziano, who's another planner over there. Great people. They're the ones who kind of told us about the whole thing. They've been very supportive of the projects going on in Waldeboro, so I want to make sure I also throw their names in there and say how great they are.
They are great. I gotta tell you, and they work well together, even though they're two different organizations. Max and them work very well together.
Oh, yeah. No, we all like what we're doing for work, and we want to keep doing some good work here in Lincoln County. What can I say?
Good work.
Will do.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Max. 10.2. Vote on MRSA 401 6F Philbrook Fund. Is it the 90/24/11?
I move case number 2024-11, 2024-11 for $2,500.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? 10.3. We have an appointment for planning board.
Yep.
Bob?
Yep. We were very fortunate to have gotten an application from Ruben Mahar to be on the planning board. And we do have a position available on that board for an alternate voting member. And I think Ruben understands what that means. Adam's had a chance to go through some of the communications we've exchanged on this. And we know Ruben serves on so many committees in town already. This is like a slam dunk. So I'd make the motion to appoint Ruben Mahar to the Waldeboro Planning Board.
Second.
Any discussion on Ruben?
Want to talk? Here you go.
All in favor?
I think you should have to bring his cat.
I agree.
Bring snacks for that cat.
Okay, 10.4, we gonna discuss some budget committee
Yeah,
procedures?
so if you take one and
Pass it around.
pass it around, it'd be great. Every year, we get requests, we get new requests from organizations in town. So Pam wrote up a little letter to send out to all the social service agencies that we get every year. Plus, how do we want to handle new ones? So for the existing ones, she came up with, you have to have a program description, including the type and level of service provided to the residents of the town of Waldeboro, the number of Waldeboro residents that they assist a year, a list of the towns that contribute to the agency and the amount each has committed to providing this year, and any other information that they see fit. So the items 1 through 4 are just the items that Pam came up with, and I thought you guys would want to be included in, is there anything else you want to see from the usual suspects that you can think of?
Does yours have,
Oh. There was one other,
the number one, I think, is there.
a copy of your financial statements, yeah.
Yep.
Mine did not have that on it.
Yeah, I added it after I thought I was
Yeah,
sorry.
that's in there. When you say financial statements, you mean for the immediately preceding fiscal year? So
Correct,
we'd be
that's-
looking at 2023.
Reasonable.
Well, yeah.
Do you want them to be audited?
Well, what do you want? It's, it's really what you want.
Well, some of them may not have the money to pay for an audit, so you're just, it's a management statement. And a lot of nonprofits produce that kind of stuff, and we all go with it, but I'm happy with that.
I'm happy with just regular.
Financials.
Financials
Yeah,
are fine.
okay.
I got a question. A request assessed $1,000.
That was the next one. That's what we're going to talk about.
Oh, okay. I'll be quiet.
I just didn't know if you had any more of
No.
1 through 5.
No.
Everybody's good?
Yep.
So the next one is, when do they have to do a petition? That's always the big question of, when does somebody have to come and do a petition? Do you want people who have a new request to have to do a petition? Do you want all of them to have to do a petition every year? I just want to warn you that every petition that's done creates. So if we've been giving to, say, the Historical Society every year, I don't think we'd want them to have to come back and do a petition every year. New Hope, that's been a long-standing donation. They did a petition from the very beginning. I don't know that you want to start having them come back, but if you have a new organization that comes forward and asks for more than $1,000, what threshold are you comfortable with asking for a petition, and who do you want to have to do it?
I know that some of our neighboring communities require a petition from every year,
Yeah, they do.
every year from folks.
Wow. How many do have to be on that petition? How many
It's-
signatures?
200.
It's 10% of the
Wow.
last gubernatorial election.
260 in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give or take.
Wow. That's a lot of undertaking.
But you have to
Yeah.
realize, if they're already on the warrant, that's something and now we vote, you guys,
Individually.
you vote individually. I'm just saying, at what point, I would think if it's a brand new ask, you'd make them have a petition, but what's that dollar threshold that you want to implement? 500, 1,000, 5,000?
Well, just me thinking, if it's new, I would think that they want to show the support of folks in town, no matter what the dollar amount is.
Yeah,
Thoughts?
yeah, no, I
So,
think.
so any
If it's new.
Any ask.
new. No, don't
Any
put a
new
dollar
ask.
amount there.
Yeah.
Any new ask, have to have a petition. And whatever Pam's formula was, 260, what Beck said was.
I'm gonna read yours real quick to make sure. So we can change that. And the only other thing that I think we should have in here is that funding even if you've been funded, funding in subsequent years is discretionary by the select board and budget committee.
Mhm.
I just don't want people thinking once it's there forever. Because as you know, COVID was a great example. We adjusted line items of the services.
Yeah, and some of the organizations, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I had a couple of questions. One was, most of these organizations have IRS status. I don't know what the actual number would be, but a copy of their certification from the.
As a
from
nonprofit?
As a nonprofit would be a good idea.
Be a copy of their 990.
990.
Yeah.
Yeah,
990,
and,
wherever it is.
and if they have any bylaws, just so we have them on file. I mean, I'm probably not gonna review their bylaws, but it'd be nice to have them on file. And then I have a very specific question about CHIP. Now CHIP is a registered charity with the IRS. And most of it is funded through grants and through individual contributions, but we just had a vote on CHIP doing work. How does that affect CHIP?
It doesn't, because that is through the Philbrook Fund, which is not through the town budget.
Okay.
So for clarification, if they're an existing one and they're asking for an increase
Or any money.
or any money, well, if they're
If
existing.
they're existing,
And but they're asking for an increase, what dollar amount do you want to tie to that for a petition?
I don't think they would need a petition because they were existing. We support them before. It doesn't necessarily mean they're gonna get what they're asking for.
Exactly.
Because as we know, we could sit in a budget meeting and the budget committees and the select board are gonna look at this. Well, last year we gave them 800 and this year they're asking for 1,000. What's the justification? We'll give them 9. We'll put.
And if they're kids, you know who's gonna make the motion.
But if I may, I like Mike's suggestion about the 990 and the bylaws. I mean, we had a situation last year
Right,
and we decided we weren't comfortable. And a big reason for that was the request for the bylaws. I mean, it really revealed,
that wasn't towards the budget. That was towards
no, but it was
It was
a
for-
request for
debate for
an abatement, but it was still, I
Yeah.
mean, the principle
Yeah,
is the
absolutely.
same. You're right. It wasn't for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can add those two items.
If they're asking for, if they're new, because we know everybody else, I mean, we've been doing it for years, but if they're new and they're asking for. Well, I guess we're saying they want the petition, the 990 and the bylaws.
Okay.
Yeah. That's just.
I thought you wanted the copy of the 990 and the bylaws for everybody.
Yeah, that's what I understood.
Yeah, we definitely want the financials and the 990 for everyone.
Yeah, okay.
But you want for new bylaws and everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no bylaws for existing.
Right.
And the petition, correct? For new
For new,
new.
yeah.
and the petition.
You've just made Peg very happy. Because now we have like a standard. It's good.
She listened.
I'm sure she is. She always is. She's back in
You're
her
welcome,
office
Peg.
listening.
Come back at the next meeting with a revised.
Revise and we can vote on it.
Back
But
again.
we can just
Yeah.
make sure it's all good. Old business. No. Gender items for the next meeting.
Before Max leaves.
I'm just getting behind the laptop. I'm still here.
Time delay
I don't know if you and Ruben want to talk about G5 or extensions of fiber on telephone poles at the next meeting.
I should be able to. I'm just waiting to hear back on a few things. And then Ruben, I don't know, you're good for next meeting?
Oh, I'll make time for that.
I'd like to hear about that. I just reading a little bit
Yeah.
about it. Sounds pretty intriguing.
So that would be when I,
G5s. the stuff we didn't do today,
I mean, 5G, right?
5G. 5G5.
If you're gonna over define it, it's really just low power radio. People freak out about 5G or 6G or whatever. Reception improvement for communication.
Helping your, reception. Anyone else, any other? Agenda? Well, next meeting is the,
Well,
Well, I will not be here. And I won't be back for the 26th.
Just come back safely.
Yes.
If the ordinances pass November 5th. we have the-
mhm.
Yep.
Are we having a select board meeting the week of Thanksgiving? I didn't know if anybody else was gonna be away.
I'll be cooking right down on Depot Street.
I'm good for it.
On that Tuesday?
Just all week, it feels like, right?
Okay, yeah, that's,
That's the 26th is the Tuesday, so it's 3 days before things, 2 days
2
before
days.
Thanksgiving.
and you'll be back for that one?
Mm-mm.
No, I come back on the 26th.
Yeah, we'll still have the 26th.
Okay, I just want to make sure everybody else was,
We're here.
okay.
We're here.
We have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.